Welcome to the whitest house. Slave souls haunt the halls when the light is out. Except the blood of the poor and the way they mouth. The last gasp of a world that is dying out. Welcome to the whitest house, where every room is a tomb that they lie about. Where you can put your filthy feet on the finest couch, and for the right amount, you can even buy it out.
That's the essence of your entire political identity. You might be a white supremacist.
All right, we ready?
Yeah. Let's set it off, man. Welcome back this week with Jasiri X.
And you know what? Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Show's over, ladies and gentlemen.
Did we just get fired? Like,
I quit.
in front of our faces?
I just quit, and so.
Did we? No, we can keep going. You know, it's okay.
I was not ready. This week in White Supremacy.
Thank you for allowing us to be on your podcast. So honored to be a guest.
For clarity, I did do a YouTube series.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Called This Week with Jasiri X, and I don't do that anymore. We do This Week in White Supremacy. And we have these amazing...
performative guests.
These amazing twins is twinning. I mean, come on. We got a lot, we got a lot of stuff happening. So I'm Jasiri. I was trying to say, welcome to This Week in White Supremacy. I'm Jasiri X, and it kind of all came together. That's hilarious. Co-founder, CEO of One Hood Media, and to my immediate right.
Oh, it's me. It's Miracle. I'm the director of policy and advocacy.
Oh shit!
We're not recording.
Wondering.
It's okay. People,
Yeah. Sorry.
People just.
I was wondering why you were looking at me. I'm sorry. I didn't know why you were looking at me.
You're in that situation when you're in like a friendship and people just get into a rut and they really forget like that you're there. I think that's where we are.
I was looking right at you the whole time,
Yeah,
and he was looking at me, and I
like-
was like, "Why is he looking at me?"
He forgot we were
I
here.
forgot. You
Yeah.
forgot. See? And you criticized me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's your girl, it's Miracle.
I will say this, Miracle. It's maybe been about 3 shows. We haven't had an end of the day in about 3 shows.
Yeah, it's
man.
been a while.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
I've been practicing.
You've been
I've been
okay.
practicing.
I see that. You know what I mean?
Watching the recaps back,
Expanding
trying to be
his vocab,
concise.
yeah.
Got you.
I guess she had to transition because we've been doing it at the beginning of the day. She had to get out of that mindset. You know what I'm saying?
I like that because I thought we was ready to do the merch. At the end of the day, merch.
Oh, it can come back.
Yeah.
It can come back.
Yeah. We gotta do that. We gotta do the merch.
And it's your boy Trouble NLS.
Never love supremacy. Another
Never
merch.
like supremacy. You feel me? Never lose sight. I'm the lead teaching artist here at One Hood Media, and I'm also like the artist coordinator. You know what I'm saying?
The curator.
Yes.
Did a great job at Patonkaton too,
Thank
by
you.
the way. And people power and politics. You know what I'm saying? Two dope events.
Very much so. Yeah.
Mr. Saeed.
Yeah. The neighborhood legend Saeed.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Niggas,
What neighborhood? What neighborhood are you a legend in?
Malvern. Every neighborhood.
Every neighborhood that you stepped a foot into.
Listen, come on, man. I get love everywhere, man. Not really. I'd be like, it'd be like the Redman song plays. Yeah. What's my name? Fuck you. Every time niggas say, they be like, fuck you. I'll be that. Be that. That's how I be when I come
Most
out, man.
hated? You know
The
what I'm
most
saying?
hated, yeah, man. No one likes me. Really.
Hood favorite, most hated, but the hood favorite.
Yeah, full-time supervillain, part-time hater. Come on, man.
You already know what it
it
is.
comes with it comes with a heavy. That's my cross to bear.
That's your cross.
That's my cross to bear, man.
No one loves Saeed.
No one,
wow.
no one loves Saeed, man.
That's a good one.
Yeah, no.
Oh, man.
No one loves Saeed.
That's going to be the next project.
That should be it.
Hey, that should be the next project. So, unfortunately, and we've had, I felt like a lot of episodes. We've had a lot of fun episodes. We laugh a lot. Unfortunately, like we got to kind of start with a serious topic.
Yeah.
And it's because, this is This Week in White Supremacy, and there's nothing more white supremacist than, what we saw happen in Buffalo this weekend, where a, white supremacist terrorist, however, whatever definition the media wanted to give, by his own words and manifesto, he was a white supremacist terrorist. He drove 3 hours to Buffalo to kill black people, pointed his gun at a white guy and said sorry to the white guy, had nigger written on his rifle and here's your reparations. So like And, you know, this was all fueled by this thinking that, like, you know, people of color are taking over, you know, from white people in America. So just wanting to, you know, get, like, what were your initial thoughts in seeing this? I mean, just for myself, I'm not surprised, you know what I'm saying? Right. And obviously we are, you know, we feel for the family. We you know, are keeping them in our prayers. But this is very similar to Dylan Roof, right? This was very similar to some white, you know, person that, you know, has all of these racist ideology, and then says, you know, I'm gonna go someplace where, you know, not where black people could fight back, right? I'm gonna go someplace where I can, you know, basically kill unarmed black people, and you know, I don't necessarily want to say get away with it, but, you know, kill as many. And supposedly he researched this place because he wanted to kill as many black people as he could. Right. So just, you know, what are y'all, you know, initial reaction thoughts about, you know, what took place in Buffalo? You know what I mean?
It was, you know, I had something I had kind of wanted to, like, that I had prepared to talk about this, but, like, I want to segue in, like, you know, I'm from Toronto, and I have an aunt that lives in Buffalo. She lives in the suburbs now. So I used to spend, like, you know, some summers and some time in Buffalo. Like, she used to live by the zoo. And I think there was, like, a park called, like, Delaware Park or something like that, you know, we would play in as kids. And so, you know, I always like Buffalo. So to see this happen, primarily to elderly people also, right, which is, you know, it's fucking sick. And I'm gonna go into what I prepared, and I'm gonna let kind of everybody else, you know, kind of chime in. But, like, this is an act of terrorism, and people are asking this to be called domestic terrorism, as if, like, the location separates or makes it unique. Right. You know what I mean? Terrorism isn't beholden to an area; it's a methodology and a practice. Right. And this, or beholden to a religion. Or beholden to a religion, right? So what I'm saying is, replacement theory with this person, Peyton Gendron, is kind of his manifesto, his catalyst. This shit isn't new. It's been called something different today, and it was, you know, it was message board language, and it was rhetoric crafted in response to the browning of America and called white genocide some years before that. Replacement theory is a dog whistle for white supremacists to harken back to the frontier days and return to manifest destiny, the white man's divine right to colonize. And not even 24 hours later, a copycat attempted to go to a Baptist church and murder parishioners. And black Americans know this story all too well. The story of violence in churches from armed white men preying upon those who come to pray. But this is happening in such a condensed timeline as proof positive of the empowerment by the GOP, and more specifically, the cult that lies within the right and quite literally worships the demagogue that was the former president of the United States of America. Robert Bowers targeted the Tree of Life synagogue here in Pittsburgh, and one of the reasons was their aid to immigrants. Yeah, replacement theory. Yep, this is what replacement theory is. And it's the only theory that doesn't get backlash, that doesn't get legislation against it. The only theory that should be demonized and criminalized, but instead is analyzed and supported and lauded amongst incels, white supremacists, progressives, conservatives, and everywhere else. And these white supremacists, Candace Owens, Herschel Walker, and Tim Scott included, are so worried about CRT, but are hopscotching over the importance of teaching about church bombings. They're preventing you from learning the truth of Jim Crow enforcement and the barbarism we faced during civil rights. And it could prevent actions like this. Not Joe Biden calling for police and crime prevention to be paid for by COVID money. Every excuse will be made for this vile execution of mostly elderly people. And if you don't believe me, his family's already blaming COVID, which primarily disproportionately affected black and brown people, and studies show that white Americans cared less about once they learned the community was at less risk of infection, was responsible for this terror against the black community. Yep. You had a man take a weapon with nigger painted on the barrel and cling to a doctrine of the self-righteous deification of whiteness like some 12th century crusader on a warpath because his importance in the hierarchical structure of America was threatened. This isn't what Donald Trump created or made possible or even accepted because white men were doing this far before he got elected. 100%. But what this is what he's asking his followers to do. Absolutely. And before anybody even asks, yes, he was taken alive. It is not because he was viewed as a threat to law enforcement. It's because they seen themselves in him. Right. I mean, and that's, that's, I would say clap it up for yourself, man. That's a strong piece. And,
you touched on a lot, right? And you know, I do want to pass it to Miracle or Treble. Just general thoughts and reaction when you heard about what happened in Buffalo.
My first thought was, this is some scary shit.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine having to watch your back going to the supermarket.
absolutely. Yeah,
To grab some food because someone feels as though your very presence is a threat to their entire
absolutely.
race.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And
Like
this is
you going to get some chips is like a threat.
right?
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
It's like I can't even go get some chips without feeling like, yo, is there someone in here acting fishy? You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right, yeah.
And it's like, this is white supremacy culture, like front in
In
display.
practice.
Yes.
Yeah,
In practice.
absolutely.
And it's on both sides. So it's like you got Republicans who, you know, also subscribe to this great replacement theory,
Right.
but they target Democrats and say that the Democrats are voting us or you know, allowing immigrants in so that we don't have power. They're fear mongering. They're creating fear
100%.
amongst their followers so that then their followers feel empowered to create fear amongst the groups that they feel threatened by.
Absolutely.
And it's like, I'm not going to lie, it is working. This is super scary to think about. You know what I'm saying? All the people that lost their lives just trying to get some food for themselves, for their families.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, not nobody, and just like you said, it's like when you look at Tree of Life, when you look at what happened in South Carolina, it was just people like just doing their everyday thing, minding their own business, not doing anything to harm anybody else, but targeted by white supremacists. You know, these white men under the guise of, you know, you're losing something. What? I have no idea what. You know what I'm saying? But targeting black people, targeting Jewish people. And remember, this was, you know, Charlottesville. They had the big march. The Jews won't replace us. And like you said, I mean, I think you touched on it, Farouk. There was no legislation that came after that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It wasn't, even though you had the woman, I think her name was Heather Heyer, that was ran over and killed, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't, I didn't see a lot of people prosecuted at Charlottesville. You know, it wasn't like people got like these long sentences and anything like that.
None
You
at all.
had somebody shot a gun right in front of the police and they didn't even do anything about it. You know what I'm saying? It's always very different when, you know, white people commit these acts of violence. And I mean, you see the same thing happening over and over again. And, you know, you mentioned, you know, Joe Biden came out, talked about, you know, taking, I think, almost $1 trillion in COVID money and
doing
you know,
crime
let's
preventing.
get into the police.
Getting more police.
And one of the things that happened during this mass shooting was a black woman actually called 911.
Yeah, and that's the 911 dispatcher talked bad to her.
Yeah, not only talked back to her, but hung up on her.
Yeah.
You know, and telling her she don't have to whisper. She's lying on the ground. She's saying, like, there's an active shooter. He's here. He's near me. I have to whisper. And literally, she had to call her boyfriend and tell her boyfriend to call 911 because the 911 operator was disrespectful to her during that time. And
What's the recourse for that? Because, like,
it's on tape. And so
Yeah,
hopefully we find out who that is and
Yeah.
that person never works for 911 ever again. But
So
I want to go ahead.
Joe Biden's about to invest more COVID money into the police.
Right.
The same police force that disrespected this black woman
Yeah,
who was
yeah.
in a situation where people like her being targeted.
and she was
shot
she
and
was later killed, right? Did she die?
No,
Oh, she didn't die. Okay,
no,
okay.
she lived to tell this story.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
and so she laid on the ground. She was in fear. But I think also too, right? And you know that oftentimes, right, the same police force that always seems to take these people alive, right? You know, Robert Bowers, Dylan Roof, this guy, you know what I'm saying, like. The guy who killed cops in Pittsburgh's history, I forget that
Poplawski?
white Poplawski,
Yeah,
right?
Poplawski,
All
yeah.
of these white terrorists that, even though they have like not even regular guns, they have like
Assault rifles, yeah,
AK-47 assault. They always get taken in because, like you said, I think you said it best, Farouk. They're not. The cops know they're not a threat to them in a sense. You know what I'm saying? But even
Yeah.
if they are, even when they shot at cops. You know, surprisingly, they always get taken.
I mean, and before Miracle goes, like, I know Instagram and a couple other social media platforms are taking down the video of him saying, "Oh, I'm apologizing to a white person for pointing a gun at them."
Yeah, pointed a gun at a white guy. Cena was a white guy, said sorry, and went to shoot other black people. Miracle, what are your thoughts on this?
So first thing, even before that man went into Tops, the black people in Buffalo were being ignored and devalued and disinvested in
Absolutely.
for the fact that he knew there was only one grocery store that black people could go
Right,
to
yeah.
in that city. So
Wow.
white supremacy isn't just the fact that he took that gun and killed those 10 people.
Right.
It's the fact that the black people in Buffalo had to fight for over a decade for a grocery store to have access to fresh food and vegetables. The same thing is going on in the Hill District. The same thing is going on in the SWATs. It's infuriating that we keep having these discussions. But what's funny to me is we're talking about replacement theory. Right. That has been disproven time and time and again because there is nobody to replace. White supremacy just makes more white people. The white people of today were not the same white people of 1900. What happens is every time there is a new immigrant class that comes in, whiteness says, you know what, a new category, new people are white. You're from Iran. Oh well, you're white now. You're from the Caucasus. You're no longer an other. So this replacement theory doesn't make sense. And it has never made sense because the only people have been replaced were the indigenous people who were slaughtered and murdered. Yep. It's been the black people who've been colonized and have everything taken away from. Yep. And when we're talking about replacement, we just had a whole debate about black people being removed from music, from ownership. We had a whole debate on TikTok and other places of black people's work being stolen and not credited. 100%. When we keep talking about replacement theory and people stealing things and people not having resources, it continues to be black and brown folks. And when we're talking about COVID-19, black and brown people are the ones who have been impacted the greatest, whether it's been the businesses have been closing, whether it's been the number of evictions, the number of viruses, like the disinvestment. And what we've been able to see, people have gone on social media and have really lied to Caucasian people and said, because the government is failing you and not doing its job, it's this black person's fault, it's this brown person's fault, it's this immigrant's fault. And when the reality is, when we're talking about COVID-19, here in Pennsylvania, we have over $2 billion that has not been distributed because people are waiting to see what happens next year in the election. People are being evicted and hungry today because of that. We saw this whole entire infant formula shortage happen only because of capitalism, only because we decided these 3 companies, you could have this contract, no one else can do it. And yes, we have alternatives, but we're not going to let those come through.
But even that, even that infant formula was turned into, the reason it was a shortage is because they're sending infant formula to brown babies at the border. And so therefore that's why us white people can't get it. So it also like feeds into that, ideology.
And it's because we always allow black and brown folks to be the scapegoat. And it was like, nah, you let your friend take this contract. And then your friend was not following the standards. They were, do you want poison infant formula or do you want a clean work environment? Oh, wait, that's unionizing. We don't support that 100%. Because that gives black and brown people living wages. So now we got to be union busting. And here we are. And what we're seeing, and we've said before, is we're seeing a lot of white men be radicalized on social media because they keep being told that your culture is being taken from you. And it's like, no, we're trying to talk about the mosaic and the fabric of our lives, how cool it is that we come from all these different places, have all these different cultures, and we want to meld together.
That's what you're trying to talk about.
To me,
these white people ain't trying to talk about that.
I love it when I can go out and I can get food from different cultures. I see
100%.
people wearing different garb, and I'm like, that. I don't feel erased or devalued or threatened.
But we're
not represented to begin with.
Yeah, but we've had videos, Miracle, where you've seen like white people at a Mexican restaurant like berating Mexican people for like speaking Spanish, like don't speak Spanish around me, like speak English, and like literally these are white people in a Mexican restaurant.
That is so bewildering to me. It's like, where the fuck are you? You know what I mean?
Right. But it's like you're in America, like talk. You're in America.
Would you have that same energy if you're going into Little Odessa?
Yes, they do.
Yes. Every time I travel abroad, people literally thank me for not complaining about the streets, for not complaining about the infrastructure, for attempting to learn like a language, because Americans will go abroad and tell people to speak English, and we'll tell people, oh, well, in America we do it like this. So yes, people will have all the.
I was more so saying like when they go to like Little Odessa in New York, like Russia. You know what I mean? They order borscht.
They love Russia now. It's weird, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was my question before you too rudely interrupted me. It was, would you keep that same energy when you're in a white restaurant where they speak a European language?
Probably not, because you see them as more human because they're white. Yeah. But also, you know, I think
if
too.
It's Eastern Europeans, they do though.
Do they?
Like a lot of my friends who are Russian or from that area, they're like they make fun of our accents. Yeah. They'll sexualize the women. So there's a lot of stuff that, you know, happens. But I just want to end up saying that what I'm afraid of is this rush to unity without accountability.
Absolutely. And say that again.
I'm afraid of this rush to unity without accountability, because we're about to start forcing people into spaces where we're told to talk to people who are racist, who are homophobic, who are bigoted, without having any type of conversation. 100%. And unfortunately, it pains me when we have people like Diddy talking about I'm taking on cancel culture, and we have people who are black who are now leading these
taking it on how
by having a white person who yelled the N-word perform, because we got to give people second chances.
Who do you have perform?
Morgan Wallen or whatever his name is.
Oh,
no. And he really, so it's just like, we keep tiptoeing around white supremacy because some of us look at white supremacy as the goal because we want that power personally.
Listen, I've said it before. A lot of niggas is only upset at white supremacy because they didn't create it for themselves.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think you also, I think, you know, to me, when you look at this like replacement theory, it was almost like, you know, it was supercharged by the election, right? This idea that like it was black people, it was brown people. You know, Trump kept saying the lie, that, you know, what they were calling a big lie, that you know, all these immigrants came in and they voted. All of these, you know, black people came in and they voted. People are being brought in because, you know, what they're saying is this replacement theory right now is about like voting. That like brown people are being brought into the country to vote for the Democrats, and therefore, you know, they're going to create these policies that are taking America away from white people, right? And so, just like you said, you had somebody like Trump who was saying like, you can't even get COVID services if you're white, right? In these places, all the COVID services are going to black people. Like, so I feel like that, you know, Trump like supercharges that conversation. And so like a lot of these, you know, white supremacists are like giving the handoff, and now they're going in and saying like, okay, well, if nobody's going to quote do anything about it, this synagogue works with, you know, immigrants. Yeah. Oh, we got to punish them because it's the Jews, you know, in this ideology that are controlling the black and brown people. And so like, and I think you're right, Miracle, when your response to this isn't like, we're going to have the FBI or whomever go after these white supremacist groups. We're going to pass legislation that if you're fermenting online white supremacist ideology, that it's a crime, right? That we're going to begin to persecute people, like, then it's just going to happen again. It's not even a question, right? If you say like, oh, we just got to come together in unity, like, well, they're literally saying in their ideology that, you know, the more of us that come around, like it's a danger to them.
No, because we just saw like my home state, the RICO charges are real.
Yeah,
right.
We
don't need new charges to go after white supremacists. We clearly have just seen what happens when you use social media and online platforms to allegedly create crimes. But they called him a teenager. They said he was a kid.
Yeah. Talk about that.
It was mental health. It was this man literally 4 months planned this attack, talked about it on social media, talked about it in these chat rooms, had a whole manifesto, and they're like, why would he do this?
Yeah, they said he went to the store.
How could this happen?
They said
he scouted the location.
He scouted the location.
Just like what's his face did in before he shot people at the Black Lives Matter in Kenosha.
Right. Kyle Rittenhouse.
All of these and were stopped prior.
Yeah.
They go to these locations, they scouted, they said they're going to do this stuff. Everybody's like, oh, it's just a poor little young white man with a gun, just being a young, and they let them go.
They let them go, yeah.
And then they come back and do these shootings, and it's like, why would he do that?
Right, because
when he said he was going to kill people 6 months ago, we didn't take this seriously.
Right, and you because you know, and you make a great point, Miracle, and you were talking about his parents had COVID, but they were saying that he threatened to kill people at his graduation. Like he threatened.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Wow. He threatened to shoot up the school, and they said less than a year later he was able to purchase this AR-15.
They
you know
gave
what I'm saying?
him therapy,
or this AK-47, whatever.
He had a small little mental health day,
right?
And they washed their hands up.
Yeah.
Now let me go outside, take a picture with a gun,
right,
and say I'm coming for somebody.
Oh, you already know.
Y'all won't see me for like another year or two. I'll be at house arrest. All type of stuff.
All that. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's what is irritating about these situations is like the interventions to help him were there,
right?
But they weren't reinforced because people just said, "Oh, you know, this stuff is happening."
Right, he's a white teenager. This is how the media seen him, right?
And
he's a white teenager.
Y'all could have stopped this, and this is why we keep saying police intervention does not work.
100%.
All this stuff,
right? Because they knew about it. Right?
Does not work. Y'all literally watch people and like, oh, he said it on Tuesday. Well, it's a Monday. Can't do anything.
Yeah.
And then when we're calling for help, when we're doing what we're supposed to, you still don't show up. And then when you show up, you talk to him. You see him armed.
Yes.
You see him actively. Yep. And he was talking about how he was going to kill black cops. And you see him actively in a situation and you're able to say, oh my gosh, let me empathize. But if it's a little 6-year-old stealing chips, if it's an old white man talking about, I'm going to stand for Black Lives Matter, if it's a black woman in the neighborhood,
they threw him on the ground.
You're cracking skulls, you're throwing handcuffs, you're physically assaulting folks. But this person who is an active threat, not only to you, but to your colleagues, who said he's going to kill your colleagues, you're able to see empathy and grace, and you're able to have de-escalation. You're picking and you're telling us you will pick and choose when you want to de-escalate.
Right,
you will pick and choose what lives you deem matter, and you will pick and choose when you want to apply your training.
Right.
And that is why, again, we keep talking about fund our neighborhoods, fund our after-school programs. Support our kids, because it's clear the police you send are only there to be occupiers and violence, and to bring violence into our communities, and we need something different.
And just to add on, Miracle, I mean, you know, they like obviously there was some type of issue with the police not being present because they actually had an armed security guard who engaged this man and was killed and died. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, if you have to have armed security in the store, to me, that shows like the police aren't really going to be there or aren't responding soon enough if you feel like you have this. You know what I'm saying? They said that at some point, either the security guard or the police saw him when he was doing his stakeout, questioned him, but nobody searched him. Nobody got deep. Because, you know, it's a quote unquote white teenager, right? Michael Brown, who was a victim of police violence, he's a man, right? He's, you know, no angel, but this is a white teenager. And like you said, he was stuck in the house during COVID and he started reading, and it's that fault. You know, it's not anybody else's fault. But the worst part is, what's the response? The response is, we need to give more money to the police and the FBI so they can have better coordination, as if that's going to save us. That's not going to save us as black people.
What blew me was Lyft saying, you know what, we understand you can't go to the one grocery store in your neighborhood, so we'll give you free rides to a neighbor grocery store. Yeah. And it was like, maybe Lyft buy another grocery store.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds solution oriented,
right?
I mean, yes. I mean, I don't know why you would think that would work. That's too much of a solution.
Maybe
it's an easy fix.
Lyft, Uber, whatever transportation. Let's come together and buy a couple grocery stores. Put them in the area.
Right.
Aldi, somebody come.
Yeah.
You know, and to me, I forgot the person's name, but they were like, we're black here. We've had police violence, community violence.
Yep.
We've had this disinvestment. And it takes a white man coming to kill us for y'all to come and say, we should be out here supporting and fighting.
I mean, there's extreme poverty in Buffalo.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like Buffalo, like, you know, they redid that waterfront, and they've done so many things, you know, around where the Bills play.
100%.
You know what I mean? They give people the illusion that, you know, Buffalo's this gray area. But there's a lot of poverty. There's a lot of systemic issues in Buffalo. And kind of like Miracle just said, it's going to take, the unfortunate part is it takes this mass murder for people to come and look at the systemic issues that are laden all throughout the city.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, I mean, it's very similar to Pittsburgh, right?
Very similar. Yeah,
Where
but yeah,
you like,
Buffalo and Pittsburgh are very comparable.
Yeah, you know, you come to Pittsburgh, you see nice areas, but then you come to our community,
right?
And it's disinvested in,
up.
right?
Yeah,
It's poverty, it's violence, it's one of the victims, the woman who was like feeding people every Saturday. You know what I'm saying? Like he's taking away people that were like dedicated to like improving the lives of people in that community. And like I said, the response is always, I've talked about this before. Like when it's a terrorist attack on America, like their response is always like, we gonna send the army, we gonna bomb you, we're gonna, but then when it's an attack on us, it's always like, are you guys gonna be peaceful? Are you guys gonna be okay? Are you gonna, you can respond, but respond peacefully. And it's always this pressure put on us to be peaceful,
perfect victims
in the face of like, white supremacist violence. And then what? It's like, you want us to continue to be peaceful when there's no like, well, where's the policy? Where's the anti-black hate bill? Where's those things that are coming? Like, why isn't there legislation being produced? We saw legislation being produced when other communities were being attacked and being killed. Like, so when it happens to us, why is it always like we have to hold hands with our murderers? Like we have to hold hands with the people that are absolutely trying to kill us. I mean, that doesn't make any sense for us to do that.
I don't, and this is what's is fucking vexing about this, is that this is happening days before elections are happening,
right?
When we already are worried about going to the polls because of poll policing, violence at the polls. That was one of the largest things that deterred people from voting in 2020, was the threat of violence to black people at the polls. So we have this happening just days before elections, right, throughout the midterms in the country and all your local elections. And then on top of that, right, you're seeing that people are asking black people to, like I said, be perfect victims, man. Like, we can't do anything in this situation that's going to protect us. And what's going to happen after this? We're going to have cops back in the neighborhood playing basketball. We're going to we don't need that performative shit.
No,
like,
we definitely don't need that.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing. And really and truly, all these things that the police do when they come in, they take pictures and they do basketball. All that's just surveillance.
Yeah, I mean,
none of that is anything preventative.
But you mentioned elections, and I did want to kind of pivot. Oh, I mean, still, one of the people that has came out and said, made a statement on this was Liz Cheney, right? Of course, the Cheney family has a super problematic history, you know what I'm saying? But Liz Cheney, as a Republican, has been one of the, she was the one Republican that was on the January 6th committee.
Yeah.
She's been one of the Republicans that's trying to hold folks accountable for this rhetoric that we've seen led to continued violence. And so she said the GOP leadership has enabled white nationalism.
And water is wet.
She said the House GOP leadership has enabled white nationalism, white supremacy, and anti-Semitism. History has taught us that what begins with words ends in far worse. GOP leaders must renounce and reject these views and those who hold them.
Here's what's fucked up.
See anything?
Here's what's fucked up about that.
Yeah.
You can pull lyrics up against Gunna and Thugger in court, but you can't do that against Donald Trump.
Right. And I mean, I've come on this show every week, looking at Miracle, waiting for the day that she says Donald Trump is going to prison.
Yeah,
and like you said, you have many, and that is weird, right? Because like you're talking about a rap song, right? You're talking about a song that you could say is creative and is art, you know what I'm saying? But these people are speaking. It's a speech, right? They're not trying to be creative with it.
This is literally what they do is literally address people.
Right. Tucker Carlson has the most popular cable news show on the most popular cable network, which is Fox News, and he's been on this, they're going to replace us. He's been on this, white people, it's a problem, you know what I'm saying? And it's like his show goes on. He's not critiqued in any way. He's not told to tone it down. He's not policed in any way. Like, he can continue being his white racist self and make millions and millions of dollars. And it is like this double standard. Miracle? It's not a double standard? What's going on?
One, Fox News has said they're not a news station.
Oh, they're not news. Yeah. Tucker Carlson. I forgot. They're not news.
They said it's this. Right.
Funny,
they said it's a performative.
Story,
yeah.
When Fox News first started, I actually was able to tour. I said this before.
Yeah, I remember you telling us.
Tour their headquarters, and they were talking about creating this niche market because they were not news. They were never going to be news.
Wow.
It was a conservative viewpoint, opinion-based platform. And so that's number one. So they don't have the same ethical standards or requirements as other newscasters or journalists, number 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But as much as I love to rag on like Fox and Newsmax, it was CNN. So I always tell people to go back. Remember when Obama was running?
Yep.
There was this study that came out, and they were like, in 2040 and 2050, white people will no longer be the majority.
Yes. The browning of America.
Yes.
And the story, if you actually read the study, it was like there would be a lot more biracials, and so the white people would not be the majority.
Did that trigger you? Did that trigger you, Miracle?
No, it did not trigger me. They said white people would no longer be like the majority, but they would still be the majority ethnic group.
Right.
So what people heard was white people are no longer going to be in existence.
They heard that, yes.
And that is how CNN packaged that story during like 2008,
all of this. Yep.
2009. And so, yes, there were people who like freaked the F out because they were like, wait a minute, what? White genocide, you're trying to kill us as white people? And it was like, no, more people are just going to be having sex and having kids.
And that's why I said progressives and conservatives are responsible for upholding this.
100%.
And we see it in the Supreme Court Roe v. Wade when they're talking about, we need a plethora of babies. White women are not having babies anymore. They're not. The white women are having babies, but they're not having white babies. And that is the caveat that people are not understanding.
Come on.
With the birth rates, when we're talking about race. In 2050, 2070, most of us are going to be multicultural. And there's nothing wrong with that. I am not a light-skinned hater or interracial lover, fighter against things. Yeah. I am not
a hater or a bully, though.
I am not. First of all, y'all light-skins like to bully me, and I just match energy.
Oh, we got to be light-skinned.
How do we bully you, Miracle?
I just match
we
energy.
Need examples. Show me receipts.
I match energy. But that was, but CNN started it. And then people responded.
You match energy because you can't match melanin? Is that what you?
Damn.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, you know what? I said I wouldn't do this anymore. I'm trying.
We can't match melanin, so we match energy.
Yeah.
But that was
lightly melanated, hella black. That's me.
I'm never making that joke again. I don't really have regrets, but if I could go back and not do that intro, that was like the one thing I would do over.
Miracle.
That was the one thing I regret. But so it was CNN and it was MSNBC, and they packaged it because they were in a news slump and they needed people to tune in, and now 15 years later, we're seeing the results of that. People really believing that their culture is being erased, that their way of life is being erased. But it was like, nah, actually, white people still get the most investments, whether it was the PPP loans, whether it was the COVID funding, whether it was the jobs, whether it was the health investment. And that's not to say that white people aren't hurting. And that's not to say that white people aren't suffering.
But it ain't our fault. Like, don't, you know what I mean?
These systems, as Bell Hooks said,
come on, man.
These systems oppress all of us, and we need to be coming together and not fighting against each other.
Well, see, this is the problem, Miracle, because, let's say you're a white woman and let's say you have a biracial son, he might happen to go to school and be taught critical race theory.
and he's no longer want to do chores.
Then he's going to come home and say, yo, I'm not cleaning up after you racist. I don't know what's happening.
So as a white woman, you would be upset that your black child is mad about doing free labor?
I mean, this white woman, think about it. You have a biracial teenager, they use the term mixed race, you know what I'm saying? And you go on Fox News, like you don't go talk to your child. You actually go on Fox. You're suing the school district for like letting your child know that they have that they're black and they, and they have a history attached to that. That is.
I'm not a parent, but I don't believe in chores. I don't believe
You're not a parent.
I am not a parent.
I had chores in my house.
When
Miracle,
you bring children into this world and you want to make them work, they didn't ask to be here.
But Miracle, what are they gonna? They got to add to the household, right? I mean, they got to do something.
They don't have to do anything. But
if they have a room, they don't have to keep.
You
that
gave
room
them
clean?
that room. You decided to bring them into this world.
I have to give them a maid too, Miracle.
Yes.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah. Or you could have a conversation about.
Please keep this recording to when Miracle has children.
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna find those children. I'm gonna be like, let me tell you what your mom said.
Let me play this clip. Let me play this clip of this outrageous.
Play this clip of this. What do we know this lady's name? What is her name?
Karen.
Karen
with the black kid.
Your son is the father's black, you're white,
the father's
and
black.
He'd never mentioned issues with race before. You're saying, what exactly changed?
Right. We didn't have issues before. He's in 8th grade. They introduced this critical
race theory is
program,
not taught in
and
schools.
now he's having racial issues that was not there before.
What kind of racial issues is he having?
Well, he's
even
seeing
answer.
himself just as a black man. He's seeing
God.
things
Why did you
that
say black
don't
like
go his
that?
way as racism, and he's finding safety in numbers now.
He's hanging out with black people.
Organized.
He
He's
gets
hanging
bad grade at school, he blames racism, or a girl rejects him on a date, racism. Are those the kind of things you're seeing?
Yes, I asked him to clean the house. Racism. Yes.
He said, "How dare
You're kidding,
you?"
right? Or are you serious?
No, I'm serious. They have totally changed his perspective. They have put him in a box.
And so listen to it. I mean, and it's like not to go back to what we were
this is an
talking
entire
about.
discourse
But think
right here.
because listen. So here's this white woman, right? Who like I said, like her son is discovering his blackness, right? His blackness.
How dare he?
Right. And
I didn't have sex with a black man for this. I didn't fetishize that nigga. I didn't fetishize that BBC to bring you into
this
ingrate,
to bring you into the world
this
talking
little
about
nigga.
black stuff.
Yeah. How dare you?
Right, but it's like she now is supposedly suing the school district, right? Like, so here is this white supremacist terrorist parents, like, who do nothing. Like he's here, like, manifesting all of this white supremacist rhetoric. They don't move to do anything, right?
No.
They don't like try to get him help or therapy or call the police or anything like that. Like, they're not going into these chat rooms and saying like, well, how can we figure out how to stop him from getting this information? But like you said, critical race theory? Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
Like, they literally went in and made laws to prevent this from happening. Like, now this woman probably can put a GoFundMe out and get thousands of dollars to go sue this school district because this child is learning about his blackness.
This is something.
This shit is nuts,
I think
man.
it's hilarious.
It
is
is funny,
hilarious.
but Godfrey, the comedian, and large up to him, has said something about this, about specifically about interracial relationships, right?
Yeah.
You can't just fuck racism away.
No, 100%.
Because people been fucking since the beginning of time.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's not alleviating. It doesn't make anything.
No, I mean, come on.
This is
during slavery. It's not like that. It's not like it's not like that ended slavery. It's not like Thomas Jefferson was like, hey, you know what? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no.
I don't want to have slaves anymore.
The thing is, it's like, this is proof that you can be racist and have black children.
Right.
100%. You know what I mean? You can be racist, like,
The woman's name is Melissa Riley. That is this woman's name. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not. That's Karen.
And while they grew up in Charlottesville, this is,
Of course they did.
my God.
Of course.
I think Treble wanted to say something.
I just think it's crazy how like this woman is clearly on the news talking about, wow, like now my kid knows himself to be black and I feel threatened because I think the school is responsible for telling him he's black.
You didn't want it.
and
You
that
wasn't going to tell
racism
him.
exists. Right. I'm saying, because she didn't want to bear that responsibility.
No.
She didn't want to be the conscious parent to have to be like, yo, I play a part in racism.
Yes.
Let's have an honest discourse about it. She's like, nah, you came out of a white vagina, so you probably shouldn't connect with your...
This is what she actually said. This is a quote.
Okay.
He looks Hawaiian. He's beautiful.
Not black.
He looks Hawaiian. So she's not trying to, she doesn't want, you guys say, get a Miracle. Attack these people,
But
Miracle.
no, I've dated interracially before, and the person I was talking to was like, my parents are racist, and I said, oh, this is over. Automatically, I'm not about to deal with this. But you have to have these conversations because a lot of times people forget, like, yes, love is great. Love, love brings us all together. But we live in the real world. And if you're dating someone who isn't planning on raising a multicultural child, that's a conversation.
Absolutely.
Please, before
you bring a child into this world. Like, that's why I love a good prenup, because I always advocate for prenups. It's because you lay out the future of your relationship. What religion is our child going to be? Like, what holidays are we going to celebrate? When are we going to talk to our child about race or discrimination or all these type of things? You have to have these conversations, and people do not. You're caught up in, my white girlfriend or my black boyfriend.
Yeah.
And then you have this child, and you don't know anything about black people or black culture
and nor do you want to know. It's like you're not looking.
It's not that people they don't think they have to know.
100%.
I think that's a difference, because sometimes people are like, I know a great hip hop song. And they feel like that is like the culture. But when you're raising a child, you have to know, the lotion, how to take care of the hair. And I think it's really cool. There are a lot of organizations that help people do that now.
But why wouldn't you prepare a black child? And that's the thing. She actually says her son now sees himself as a young black man who will have more struggles in life because of his race, and it's because of systematic racism that's endemic in American life. That's a fact.
He didn't make that up. Fact. He didn't make that up.
She says he's changing. If things don't go his way or seem unfair, he will now claim his racism. He never did that before. He now identifies as a black man because that's how the school told him he looks and who he is. It's like, but why didn't you tell him that?
Real shit.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why didn't you tell him, like, in this world, they're going to view you as a black man. And as a black man, there's certain things you can and cannot do, or you can do it, but you're not going to get away with it. You know what I'm saying?
Can I interject? Because this is, I hate when people say this shit, and I'm gonna have to quote, I don't know the other way to say it, like the tragic mulatto story that people talk about all the time. Right now, at me being black and Arab, and I didn't really rationalize that when I was growing up, but I had a grade 4 teacher. Her name was Miss Gassessa. Right. I remember I got in a fight on a bus because a kid called me the N-word, and she had pulled me aside afterwards, and she was like, "You're gonna be treated the rest of your life differently because of how you look." And she was the first white person to say that to me. Right. She kind of gave me that power, like, hey, listen, you know what I mean? Like, this is what you're up against.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think she was married to a black man. I might be making that up, but I think
in my
mind, because she was always super cool. But no, but that was the first white person that ever had that conversation with me. Like, there are people that look like me that aren't going to like you because you look the way you look. Right. Now, my mom and my dad did everything they did to, kind of arm me with that. But, you know what I mean?
Because you say your dad was a Black Panther, so your dad was giving you jewels, like black jewels.
And my mom was an immigrant. My mom was Arab, so my mom actually was the one who told me to, like, if anybody call you the N-word, you defos. And my dad was more like, nah. Yeah. But, you know what I mean? But, I mean, that's besides the point. But, like, that's the thing. In these schools, right, like, we take, as educators, we sometimes take the job of the parents because the parents are they're derelict of duties. In a lot of cases.
Melissa was not trying to tell her.
Now, your job as a mom is to protect your child.
Right.
And you're doing the antithesis of that by making them be like, oh, okay, you're not black, you're mixed.
But also, it's like you want to try to put some type of fantasy life
That's
on
what I'm
your
saying.
son.
Yeah, man. It's not
you know what I'm saying? And it's like because just like you said, you know, as a white person, you don't have to learn about racism. You don't have to. Because,
and you're not even with your child 8 hours of the day. They're at school around black people.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you don't got to learn about race. Why? You know, racism doesn't affect you. So, there are white people that are wanting to learn and how to be allies and all that stuff, but you don't have to. You know what I'm saying? You could just go be white and, it's no issue with you. But, like, to have a black child and not think about, like, the effect that to try to pretend like, oh, we're in some fantasy world, and if he didn't learn about his blackness, what was he gonna do? He was gonna go be president of the United States. I mean, like, it's ridiculous. Now, they sued Miracle. They sued the school. Now, the lawsuit was thrown out, but, like, is this something, like, legally they can do?
I mean, you can always file a lawsuit, and again, there is a whole apparatus where people try to go and sue schools that they think are woke or doing social justice, because these organizations really do not believe in public schools or desegregation, and this is part of the reason why.
Come on, you've been dropping gems today.
Oh, thank you. But what I would say is the first time I encountered physical racist violence was at school.
Yeah.
The majority of racist violence that I really have encountered was
Me too.
Absolutely.
high school, college. It was my own classmates, and then graduate school with some of the professors. And my parents had to talk to me about, this is what happens. This is why some people believe this. This is who you are. And I think sometimes parents feel like if I don't talk to my kids about the evils of the world, I'm protecting them.
Right.
And I won't scare them. I believe that it's important to teach your children the realities of the world. You empower them so when something happens, they don't get hurt. One of my nibblings, somebody said they're under 7. One of their classmates said they couldn't be friends because they were too dark skinned.
What's a nibbling?
Like a sibling, but it's like gender neutral term. I mean, I got a niece or nephew, but gender neutral.
I've never heard that before.
So
I've never heard that either.
I know Nibbler from Futurama.
So like nibbling. So like a niece or a nephew.
A nibbling,
But the gender neutral is like
that sounds too close to niglet to me.
Yeah.
I said that and they were like, I am not a niglet. Don't call me that.
Yeah, I don't like that word.
And I was never would do that. But to tell this child and to look them in the face and tell them they're beautiful and to big them and large them up after one of their friends were like, you're too dark skinned to be like, that was heartbreaking. I'm like, dang, I gotta talk to a little 5-year-old about race and racism now. That's heartbreaking. And so parents have to talk to their kids about race. Right. They have to talk to their kids about all these things because not every just because you're not talking to your kid about it doesn't mean these white supremacists aren't. Absolutely. And some of these white supremacists are teaching their kids to not only, like we saw with that little boy who ran with the whip in the door. Oh, yes. They're teaching their kids not only about race and racism, but to actively and proactively harm other black and brown kids. Mm-hmm. And so you're over here living in a lolly-dog world. Like, my kid's not black, they're multiracial, they're multicultural, and they're being called all types of stuff at school, being bullied, being harmed. And then when something happens, you want to be like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Right. And this is the problem, because that boy, if you saw the video,
is a 9-year-old.
The hate of his ancestors.
I fucked that kid up.
A 9-year-old
come to my door and he scratched their car. He scratched their car.
Did you see that?
For those that don't know, a 9-year-old white boy brought a whip to a black family's house and demanded that that their black daughter came out because he was going to use this whip on their black daughter. I mean,
not in my African American home.
A white man. I mean, like you said, he was whipping the door. And so, like you said, so here is. I mean, does a little boy go around whipping everybody? But
it's like, why do his parents have a whip that he has access to in the crib? You know what I'm saying? They're actively teaching.
Preparing him. The story is wild. Did you catch the whole story?
Yeah.
This shit is wild,
man.
Well, according to the U.S. government, it's not a whip; it's a horse wrangler. Remember?
Oh man!
Remember when they were whipping the Haitians, and they're like, "That's not a whip; it's just a horse wrangler."
And
so basically, they're saying, "Oh, you see black people as animals now too."
Right? 100%.
Come on, Trouble.
Yeah.
Come on, Trouble.
Because why would
That's all I'm getting from that.
Right? Why would you bring that? And then, the mom was like, "Boy, you better get out of here." Scratch the car, and then when the father goes to the father's house to say,
he came out with the Blix.
He came out
and he dropped the Blix.
Almost shot himself and his daughter, because he was asking this black dude to get off of his property. And so, like you said, when you have a 9-year-old white boy coming with a whip demanding, he had only, he didn't say, hey, can Lil Sally come out and play? He was like, bring this, black girl out here. He had ownership over her and then had a whip.
That's the difference right there between households. Because you imagine talking to your black mom demanding anything without getting fucked up in the house.
Hell no. Or think about, if I heard my child would bang, just like you said, if you was asking,
you can't even walk heavy.
If you was asking for some sugar,
no doors in my house.
But you're gonna go bang on the neighbor's door and demand something from them? How dare? No. But it's just like you said, this is that white supremacist ideology and mentality. In his mind, he had ownership over this little girl, and these black people had to listen to him because he was a little white kid. And when they didn't, he was mad and scratched their car.
Here's something right here that all of our viewers can relate to. I remember one time my dad called me downstairs and I was like, what?
Oh no!
This nigga was like, "The fuck you mean what?"
Miracle was with that. Yeah, what? Oh, I'll be like, no, it's yes sir, no sir. It's not
Yeah.
what.
What? I
You know
was like,
saying?
what? He was like, what?
Oh,
The
no.
fuck do you mean what?
No, we don't do that.
But arguably that is post-traumatic slave syndrome right there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Is it?
Like, we shouldn't have to address our parents by sir and ma'am. It's like, who are we? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, we need a father's podcast. Please, no kids, people telling me what to do in my house. Well, you better get you a child.
I'm just saying. Oftentimes, parents don't question the aspects of their parenting that come from white supremacy.
No, you're 100% right. No, Trouble coming with it real. No, you're 100% right. You know, and that's like we don't spank our. You know what I'm saying? We don't spank our children like we did though. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it a bean.
Yeah, I'm about to say the first one.
I got spanked. And then we did realize we interrogated that. We realized.
Trouble,
that,
did you get beat?
No, we're passing around.
Did you?
Yeah,
This is why I have criticism.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I mean, I didn't get beat. I got abused.
You got abused.
I got abused.
CYS came to my household.
Same.
Same. So I get that. You know what I'm saying? I get and props to
twins.
And look, and props to like the black family
Tragedy
for not
twins.
because like you said,
Unfortunately, we share stories and be like,
tragedy twins.
oh,
But
yeah.
I would say props to this black family because I might have reacted a little bit different. You know, if a white child showed up in my house with a whip, you know what I'm saying? Like I might
I'm
have
inviting them in.
reacted a
I'm calling the
little bit
FBI.
different.
Like I'm a victim
You know what
of
I'm
a
saying?
hate crime.
I mean, you should. You know what I'm saying? And then when the guy shoots the gun, so I guess his father did get arrested, but it does go into that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it goes back to like, and I would really like a white person to tell me, like, why are y'all so angry?
So we about to have a white supremacist on This Week in White Supremacy? Is that
Like Phil Donahue
in the
used to do.
comments.
Phil
In the
Donahue
comments.
used to do this shit.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
We get white supremacists in the comments all the time.
Absolutely.
That man.
I'm not sitting next to nobody. But you
what
know,
did he call us?
oh yeah, there was one episode where they remember the guy just kept going in with the white racism. I
But
forget
what about the man that was like, how many episodes you do? I was like, we was like 50. He's like, and you still ain't got no bitches. Oh man, that was one of the best comments ever.
Some of the whites, they be funny. They be
Yeah.
getting up on their jokes now.
Can you play this Preacher?
Oh man,
You know what I'm saying? And I just and we
Can
can
I?
because I just, you know, like I said, like one, you know, you would think like I thought Christianity and Jesus like made you peaceful and nice and kind to everybody, but not to this white person. Like Jesus got him on. I mean, he ready to
Like,
blast black and brown people for Jesus.
What version
I mean,
of like?
but I mean, I think that's
what
because
Christianity, not the Christianity that brought slavery, not the
100,
Christianity
right.
that was out here talking about you can beat your wife,
right. And
what
then
Christianity you talking about?
the killer in Norway identified as Christian. This killer in Buffalo identified as Christian. So there has to be this whole, you know, when you come with this Christianity, like why are you all so violent? You know what I'm saying? In your expression.
For context, this is bitch ass Greg Locke.
Yes.
Who is
Why y'all be saying his name though?
I mean, let people know who this white dude is.
Yeah,
you know
it
what
was
I'm
just
saying?
like, what was the other nigga from the 700 Club that looks like the Crypt Keeper?
Pat Robinson.
Pat Robinson, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever send in your $5 to get your prayer card?
Oh God,
My
There was
what?
you know, I
Your
was watching
Oh,
that
no.
Tammy Faye movie.
we was Muslim in
man,
my house.
they been wild. Jimmy Swagger,
Yeah, they all been wild.
Jerry
yeah.
Falwell, what was it? Jim Baker. They all wild. All
One
wild.
of them came to our church. I do remember being knocked out, and it was hilarious.
Hit with the hand of God, the Holy Spirit.
Lord have mercy.
So this is Greg Locke.
Yeah.
This is Greg Locke.
In his church.
Let's just play it. I'm gonna let Greg Locke speak for Greg Locke.
If you vote Democrat, I don't even want you around this church. You can get out. You can get out, you demon. I'm to the place right now. If you vote Democrat, I don't even want you around this church. You can get out. You can get out, you demon.
Not a demon.
You can get out, you baby butchering election thief. You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation. I don't care how mad that makes you. You get pissed off as you want to. You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation. They are God-denying demons that butcher babies and hate this nation.
What'd you just say?
I said, but you tax exempt.
But not
You can't tell me how I worship the Lord in my house. You can't tell me how I worship Jesus Christ.
It's funny because again, you know,
This is that replacement theory
I'm
shit.
a heathen.
You got the tithe to come in this
I
church.
can't necessarily remember, but I'm not the Christian. Not the guy that like told, you know, kill your son. stab the pregnant women in war. Not that.
Old Testament.
That's
Jesus.
Old Testament. No, that's
that.
Jesus is New Testament.
That's New Testament and Old Testament.
Well, I mean,
Talking
they
about
say
coming.
Jesus God, So.
But keep playing because he goes even further. People don't read
the Bible.
They don't.
They hate this nation.
They hate this nation.
Get mad all you want to. I don't care if you stand. I don't care if you throw tomatoes. Praise God. I'm about to throw a microphone up in his house.
He's so violent, so angry.
CNN can eat my dirty socks. You cannot be a Democrat and a Christian. You cannot. Somebody say amen. The rest of you, get out.
Wrong.
Get out.
By the fruit.
Get out in the name of Jesus.
Wow.
So let me ask you a question then, just real quick before I keep playing this.
We don't really have to play it anymore.
No. There's one part I do want to get to.
Does he say this to black Christians then?
Absolutely.
Get out, of course.
100%.
I just want to know, like,
1000%.
would he meet with a black reverend?
Yes. And call
say,
him a baby butchering demon and be like, nigga, get out of here.
Cool.
Well, there are black Christians.
He's going right. He meets with black Christians, right? I mean, there are black Christians who believe that.
What would he say about Martin Luther the King?
Oh man,
philanderer,
communist, right? Yeah, of course.
Let's keep going. Greg dropping gems.
No.
My dad's name is
your
Greg.
stupid games. Bunch of devils. I'm sick of it. Hey, want to talk about the insurrection?
Here it is.
Here we go.
Let me tell you something. You ain't seen an insurrection yet.
What that
You keep on pushing our buttons, you low down sorry compromisers. You God-hating communist America. You'll find out what an insurrection is because we ain't playing your garbage. We ain't playing your mess. My Bible says that the church of the living God is an institution that the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And the Bible says that we'll take it by force.
The Bible is one of the most violent books
100%.
ever created.
100%.
So it's
100%.
true. However,
Miracle, how was my southern accent?
I might, we gonna work on that.
Okay.
But just like you said, it's like this is that mentality, right? This is that mentality of right. He said you ain't seen. Basically, he said you ain't seen violence yet.
You ain't seen.
Yeah.
Oh, you think because you think that little bit of shit on the walls? Oh, you ain't seen shit on the walls.
Shit on the walls, man. Someone went into Capitol Hill and shit on the walls.
No, but that was a little bit. We gonna cover the whole.
We're gonna. Oh, I like it, Picasso. What's this?
But this is a threat, and like you said, like how can we take it other than a threat? Right?
It is a threat, and he keeps saying it, and it's funny because when he actually does something, we're gonna be like, oh my god, we were so shocked.
What we're gonna do when he does something, we're gonna say, oh, we just gotta hold hands and we just gotta come together.
So let me ask you a question.
Pray in unity.
This is a real question. Post 9/11,
he's not brown and he's not Muslim. I don't know why y'all keep asking me these.
So I'm just asking.
Questions.
So he's not identified as like a white radical, white supremacist.
No.
FBI doesn't have no duckets on him or nothing.
No.
They probably can't. I mean, there was an article.
I just want y'all to understand the world we live in is not going to treat these white people the same way they treat black and brown.
There was an article.
Asking a question. That's all.
So Farouk, there was an article that came out 3 days before what happened in Buffalo called. And this was Reuters. Prevalence of white supremacists in law enforcement demands drastic change. That a Reuters investigation, it said that a significant number of U.S. police instructors have ties to a constellation of armed right-wing militias and white supremacist hate groups. I mean, we're here in Pennsylvania, and we're going to get into the election, coming up. We'll get into the election. We didn't want to really get into it because we're recording this on Tuesday. We don't know the outcome. But we might have a insurrectionist governor and insurrectionist senator running as the Republican nominees in Pennsylvania. Like that didn't disqualify them. And that's what I'm saying. Like,
if anything, that gave them more credentials.
If anything,
more legitimacy.
If anything, this language will cause these white supremacist institutions to protect a Greg Locke. Not prosecute a Greg Locke, but protect him like they protect all these other white supremacists and allow them to get away with, oh, you kicked the dog. I mean, you kicked a police officer. We're going to give you, I knew Mac Miller. I love Mac Miller. I saw a report that said the drug dealer of Mac Miller got 17 years, which he should. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm all for that. You get 17 years. Oh, okay, I'm cool with that. But you don't. Okay, I'm just saying. But then you storm the Capitol and beat a police officer with a flagpole, and you get 4.
Yeah, I mean,
what are we doing? What are we talking about?
I've always said black thought is equal to white rage because people are always afraid.
God damn.
Of what black
Hold
people.
up.
Oh, that was a gem.
Say that into the camera.
That was a gem.
I've always said that black thought is equal to white rage because people are always afraid of what black people could do or might do.
Yes.
But instead are prepared for what white violence has already done.
Black thought is equal to white rage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fucking hell, bro.
Probably even more. I would say black thought actually is like more, you know.
And we're not talking
police
about Tariq Trotter from the Legendary Roots Crew. We're talking about
just
miracle
black people thoughts. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
But that's why we have to have a new system.
What black people might do to what white people actually do, right? What we might do, we're going to get arrested for. What white people act like. If me and you start talking like that, you already know what it is. You know,
it's gonna sound like that.
100%. Right, our homes. I mean, and that's happened.
They did that in Philadelphia.
That's happened.
They did this in Philadelphia.
100%, man. So, I mean, you know, get it together. I don't know, white people, man. Y'all got some.
Clean your house up.
Yeah.
And
Clean your house.
Thinking about getting things together at our white pages.
Yes.
Are we serenading us? Or are we just going to go?
Yeah, give us a
white pages.
I want to.
You sound like Jimmy Stewart. What was it? One of them white singers.
So
my God.
we talked about how police don't keep us safe. We talked about a need for something new, and becoming abolitionist is that something new.
Yeah.
It's a really cool book, Police Protest in the Pursuit of Freedom by Derica Purnell. I hope I said her last name correctly.
Absolutely.
It's a really good book when we're talking about abolition and building accountability and transformative justice. It's a really good introductory and primer. So when you hear abolition or defund the police or reinvesting in communities, you don't see that as a threat. It's a really good book. And that is going to be our white pages.
Absolutely.
For this week.
I'm glad we kind of got back to our white pages.
Yes.
Call to action. I mean, definitely. I mean, when we play this, people will have already voted.
I would say hold your elected officials accountable. After you vote, hold your elected officials accountable. That's all called to action.
If you wanted to maybe hear, I don't know. I mean, if you've already watched the hour of me, you probably don't want any more. But at 7 o'clock, like
you got a fan base.
Immediately following this show, I'm doing a conversation with the Harvard Kennedy School called Art as a Political Activator. We'll have the information on One Hood Media, so you can, like, as soon as this goes off, you can go right over to Artist Political Activator. I'll be joined by Aisha Upchurch, Prentice Haney, and Arika Bennett Scott, all folks that are using art as a political activator around the country. So shout out to the Harvard Ash Center. You have something happening this weekend, my brother Treble?
Oh, yes. I completely forgot. Friday, I will be at Rutgers, New Brunswick.
Yes, Rutgers University.
Yes, performing Don't Clip Our Tails as a keynote performer for the Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Oh, wow. Harvard didn't give me no claps.
Oh, damn.
You left the claps out for me, brother.
I mean, this is
no, brother, no.
On the Jasiri
no.
show.
That's after. Yes. How dare you not give me claps on This Week in Jasiri? No, but that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So hopefully if you're in the New Jersey area or if you're a part of this conference, because I saw the flyer. It's like you're on the main flyer.
Yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's very dope.
So yeah. Shout out
Our
to
Emmy
Trevor.
Award winning
Niggas love
brother.
Shy.
Man,
Absolutely. Niggas love Shy. You had something happening, Miracle? What's going on?
Yeah, but so this weekend.
Are you speaking at a university? Shit.
I'm not, but I'm just, going to be dressed up for the Allies Ball.
What is the Allies Ball?
Allies Health and Wellbeing is a nonprofit here in Pittsburgh area that gives free health screenings and treatments to underprivileged or individuals and people living with HIV, as well as people who are traditionally excluded from medical care. We're doing a fundraising ball. It's going to be free for all in the evening. So if you're in the Pittsburgh area, come hang out with us by the Children's Museum on a Saturday evening. Also, May is Mental Health Month.
Yes.
And we have been very, very, very fortunate to work with the Thought and Films Foundation.
Yeah.
And
that
this
is that
Saturday
Saturday. Yeah.
is our May is Mental Health Block Party.
Yes.
Treble has also curated a really cool lineup of artists. And so this Saturday at the Kingsley Center from 12 to 4, please join us for our mental health block party. Some One Hood folks will be performing. There'll be some yoga, some resources about maintaining and supporting your mental health. So please come out.
And then also on Friday, the Women and Girls Foundation, they're having a 20th anniversary celebration Friday from 5:30 to 7:30. So it's a lot happening, a lot of good organizations and folks and people that you can support. So yeah, spend your time out going and supporting folks. You know what I'm saying?
Take care of yourself. I'm all about Black love, Black joy, but again, it's a lot happening.
Yes.
So if you need to feel the anger, the rage, and the pain, feel that too.
Absolutely.
And then come on with that.
And is On Tilt back this Thursday as well?
I believe starting next Tuesday.
Starting next Tuesday. Oh, and then this Thursday.
What the fuck?
What is that?
I was trying to rewind it back to these demons.
Why is this white man yelling at me? This Thursday, Ask a Black Doctor returns.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know what I'm saying? Ask a Black Doctor. So if you have doctor questions, we'll be touching on mental health.
Can COVID turn you into a mass murderer?
Hell to the no. Like, you don't blame COVID for that. But we do have questions about children and COVID. As COVID is kind of making a return. They're saying wear your mask out again and everything. It's so great. What are we doing with this country, man? This country is nuts.
That's why I was trying to be on 90 Day Fiance, but my twin failed me. So we shall see.
Protect yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like, be careful, be mindful where you're at. Look at your surroundings. Wear a mask. I mean, we got to do all types of stuff, but let's hold one another, let's protect one another. We keep us safe. Let's continue to do that in our community. And, if it's the will of God, we'll be back
Inshallah next week.
Hopefully it'll be some more humorous things to talk about. And
hopefully next week we can have a fun week.
Yeah. But,
thank you for everybody that's been viewing. I love when I go onto Facebook, I see the thousands of views. I love that. That makes me
subscribe to our YouTube.
Yeah, subscribe. We're on all available platforms for where you get your podcasts, right?
Absolutely.
We're everywhere.
Yeah, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can check us out and all those things.
Everywhere, man.
So next week.
This
weekend, White Supremacy.
Don't try to make it up now.
I got it right this time.
Welcome to the whitest house. Slave souls haunt the halls when the light is out. Except the blood of the poor and the wicked mouth. The last gas of a world that is dying out. Welcome to the whitest house.